Welcome back in there, Cult Lords fans.
Welcome back.
We are here to do another movie review. And this will be The Creator movie review by the Cult Lords.
We are the Cult Lords. Thank you for stating all of that for our YouTube search algorithms.
I guess I'm told that I've got to say that. So, if you're new to the channel, we want to thank you for stopping in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button
Down there.
Hit the like button.
It's free.
Hit the like button, and then tell us in the comments, what did you think of this movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you agree with what we're about to talk about? You know, maybe you just chill a little bit, walk around, cook in the kitchen while listening to this on your YouTube channel, and then come back and then comment and tell us what you thought. So, all right. Well, if you're also new to the YouTube channel, we always like to start off by having a nice adult beverage, cocktail or beer or wine. What are we drinking this week, Dane?
Well, this movie has so much heaviness in the ties. I mean, it's filmed in what, I think 7 Asian countries.
I was going to say, I mean, it looked like Cambodia, it looked like Laos.
It was all over the place.
It was Vietnam. I mean, I couldn't tell.
So we're doing some South Korean Jinro.
Okay.
We've talked about this in the past, but honestly, we need to finish it. This worked perfectly. Yeah. So, great mixer. But it's a little hard to take this one straight. Let's put it that way.
We tried this straight at one point.
So we've got it with some nice...
ginger ale.
Oh, Canada Dry. There it is.
That's better.
That's better when it's mixed. So...
Yep. So, now that we've got our drink down, Dane, I've got to warn our viewers.
Warn them about what?
If you have not seen this movie yet, we are about to go into heavy spoilers.
Oh, it's so heavy.
Heavy spoilers. We're going to talk about everything that happens in this movie. So if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want that ruined for you, I would hit pause. I'd go watch the movie, then come back to this review.
Immediately.
And then see if you feel the same way that we feel. No
break in between.
Yep. So you have been warned, okay?
Yes.
Now, Dane. We
like to scrub the butts of the unwashed masses to find out what they found out about this movie?
No, I wouldn't say it that way.
Maybe the feet. Maybe you'll work on the feet.
Oh, okay.
Clean the feet.
No. What we like to do is we like to see what the general population feels about this movie in comparison to what the Cult Lords feel. I mean, when the Cult Lords rate something, it can move the needle, but we still like to see what the general population...
Fortunes and
Fortunes have been made on these reviews. So, I'm just kidding.
What do you mean you're kidding? What am I doing here?
All right. So, before we reveal our scores... Dane, did you avoid the Rotten Tomato scores?
I did, and it was tough this time because it was like right there. I had to keep looking away.
All right.
And then I had to go read some stuff after because this is a complicated movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no! And I kept averting my eyes.
Yeah. All right, so what do you think the critics gave this movie?
I'm going to go critics are like 7.5. I think they were 75. C on this one for some reason. I don't know why.
What do you think the audience thought?
8.5.
So 75 and 85?
Yeah. I think the audience was a little more entertained than the critics.
All right. So.
Probably completely wrong, but we'll see.
The critics gave this a 66%.
Ooh, I was in the least gentle vicinity.
Yeah.
On the lower side.
9 points off. And then the fans or the audience gave it a 76%. Okay. Also 9 points off.
Yeah, all right. Well, I just needed to move myself by 10.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, actually, but I guess.
Well, I mean, do they call this fresh?
Did it achieve freshness?
Did it achieve freshness? Sometimes they put, like, a fresh logo on here.
No, it's not on there.
No. I guess I don't consider that fresh.
I'm just looking at the front. Go ahead, keep going. I'm just looking at the front to see what this looks like.
Sometimes when they put it out on Blu-ray, if it's got a fresh Rotten Tomato score. They put the logo. They pay to put the logo.
It's a very visually stunning movie, so I assume the Blu-ray would have something on it.
Oh, but Dane,
not one of these again.
Spent a little extra money to get the 4K.
I'm rich, bitch!
What?
Yes, I said, you know what? Sci-fi, gonna get the 4K.
See, I watched it on the old streaming of Apple TV, so I assume did you watch it this way or on Vudu?
No, I watched it on 4K.
Okay, so you probably were like, my eyes are burning with how stunning this is.
It was good. It was good.
Well,
I guess what we need to do is we need to reveal our scores. These were just delivered to us by
Larry himself?
No. This week they sent a robot over. AI. He came and he handed this off, and then.
So what's he enjoying in the green room? The robot.
I don't know. I think he's
a can of oil and.
WD-40. And, I don't know.
Gonna get rid of a couple of squeaks.
All right. So let's see what the Coat Lord is with us.
Okay.
So on the count of 3, Dane.
Yes.
1, a 2, a 3.
Whoa! Ooh, look how close we are.
Take a breath, Will.
The eye in the sky watches.
8.7?
8.8.
Now, I was writing a different.
I see that.
But I thought, you know what? People will think I'm being so insensitive. I did originally write LA homeless problem solved. But I thought, you know what? I better, people are going to think, oh, he's so insensitive.
The homeless are going to go after you now.
I'm just joking around. Okay.
Those homeless are going to go after you on the comments.
Yes, okay.
Whip out their homeless laptop.
Yeah.
But basically mine was take a breath, Will Robinson.
Okay.
I just didn't write it out.
All right.
Take a breath, Will Robinson. Danger.
All right. Count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Robots tearing that person apart.
It's robots.
Kill robots. What else is there?
So, Dean, this premise is that, man became very dependent on AI and robots. Actually, through the 90s even, you know what I mean? Did you notice that?
Yeah, that was I like that opening. That was very clever the way they did that.
Of did a montage. At first, they show like back in the 50s, like, and someday in the future we'll have robots. You know what I mean?
Right. And the robots are all like extremely basic.
Yes.
You know, there's somebody like manning them. Yeah.
I mean, the robots of the modern day time, they basically had the head of, what is that, Johnny Five from Short Circuit?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It looks like the same thing. Johnny Five.
Can't pick this up.
So.
I need my robot hand. Yeah. Well, and that was confusing, to tell you the truth, because I wasn't 100% sure. You had the robots that obviously looked like robots.
Well, so.
And then AI thrown in there. And then you had the people with the faces.
Well, so what happened was, it was mainly the old robots in the beginning. And then a nuke hit, like in what? Around this time, like
2065 was kind of the timeline.
2065 was in the future.
Where they settled.
Where they settled. But I think the nukes hit somewhere like in the 2020s, 2030s or something like that. So that was like 30 years down the road.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
remember like when they went back to LA and they showed LA, it was kind of cleaned up actually a little bit and people were still cleaning up. That was still like 30 years or 20 years after the nuke hit.
That's a nuke hit?
Yeah. But it settles on 2065, which is modern day, current time of, if you will. So they've got new technology where people can donate their likeness.
Yeah.
And then they'll do a scan of their face. And then that face is replicated over and over and put on front as the interface of the robot. So you had some robots with faces, then you had some old robots that didn't have
that was
faces.
what it was. The older ones were just looked like plain robots. Okay.
Yeah, they look like the Johnny Fives.
Okay, because that was to me that was a bit confusing with like, and the other part of it was AI. I mean, really, this was more like just robots. But they called it AI. So the older ones were in the current AI.
Yeah,
scenario.
The older ones were, and I think they were like more basic AI, more probably the ones that kind of worked in the factories and put stuff together.
Right.
Though they did show them like carrying people around, like babies around in the beginning, right?
Right.
But now the newer ones, they're the more advanced. They got the face, they've got I think smarter AI, intelligence, and they operate like humans. Right?
Yeah.
Really. So.
And that's one thing they didn't touch on was like, are all these, and I guess that's the way they imply it strongly. They're all independent organisms. There's not, AI always.
Like a hive mind?
No, not that way.
No, I'm saying
the opposite of that. Yeah. Right.
You're saying they're independent organisms
Yes,
as opposed to a hive mind.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so that normally in AI, and that was one thing I had a little bit of a difficulty with the creator, because the creator was this mythic being that everyone was trying to find.
Nirmata or something like that.
Nirmata. So which was Asian, was it a Thai term or something like that?
Something
the
like
leader
that.
or something, or the creator. But I mean, that was one thing that was confusing to me, was it's like you got a creator, but then they never really show the creator, except all of a sudden it just hints at it,
All right.
So I don't know.
Maybe that's for part 2.
Because it seems to me like should have been in the background, kind of like the Wizard of Oz. There should have been somebody in the back, like an AI, his hive mind controlling everything, but it didn't go that way.
Well, so what's happened is there was a nuclear explosion in LA, right?
Yeah.
And so the United States believes that
this AI entity
is the one who launched it. So they have made a pact, and I think the Western world, or the Western hemisphere, made a pact to destroy all AI and get rid of it. So, they're getting rid of it.
Go back to the mainframe days.
Yeah. They're getting rid of it. They're,
Well, they're going back to a simplistic model where these things can't think.
A more simplistic model.
Right.
Because they still do have robots going on.
Right.
If you notice that. But it's not like the advanced AI. So I don't know how you would put open Pandora's box and then pack it all back up. But I guess Asia decides, no. We like AI.
Yeah.
And so there's a new Asia where it's they never really
conglomerate of like all the countries south of China.
Yeah. And it's interesting because they don't really mention China by name, and they don't mention any countries by name, by actual name.
Yes.
But like when you see the scenery, you can tell like that was either like Cambodia or Vietnam or Laos or something like that. You know what I mean?
A lot of Thailand in there.
Yeah.
And then Nepal also, with the big mountain scenes.
Okay.
So
that's the new conglomerate in Asia, where not only are they still using old robots and new AI robots, but they're manufacturing new AI robots.
Yes.
You actually saw a factory.
Super advanced versions. With hidden factories. And that really is the movie. The movie starts with the Washington character. What's his name?
John David Washington plays Joshua.
You find out he's an infiltrator of the, the like kind of the leader group of the AI resistance in South Asia. What was it called? New Asia, and he's trying to find the creator.
Right.
But they end up discovering that there's a massive factory at one point under some village.
Well, and so it's funny because the United States, who's so heavily against this AI, has created this massive ship. That's what I was referring to as the eye in the sky is always watching, because it's just always hovering up there, just like around the islands, just check. It's always just present.
It's basically like a huge gigantic drone.
Yeah, except there's people up there.
And there's people up there.
Yeah.
You find out later they're living up there with plants and like animals.
So the inspirations I picked out of this movie, Blade Runner, of course.
Yeah.
Like with replicants. Blade Runner, boop. Avatar, I was picked up. I mean, like, as that eye in the sky is like destroying everything, it reminded me of Avatar when they're fighting the Na'vi, right? And they're just destroying everything. Yes. And then I saw like that place almost kind of as like Elysium. Do you remember Elysium?
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah, so kind of reminded me of Elysium a little bit.
And then you got District 9 thrown in for good measure,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
District 9, where the robots have their own entity because they're being,
Yeah.
So to your point, I mean, this movie really did pull from a lot of different other references
To make its own story.
And make its own story.
And you know what? Even though I saw like all of the references to these movies, I didn't go, oh, this is a blatant ripoff. I didn't feel that way.
Oh, yeah. No,
I felt like, just like music, they took elements of other movies and created their own.
I mean, the only thing I will say, and I agree with you on that, but I mean, when you remember the AI, the Spielberg version, this movie was definitely inspired by that. And you could say that this movie was actually, I'm trying to, like, AI could maybe like 50 years later in the sense because of the way that this movie was set up with, to your point, with like faces now and all that. And especially with, I guess the only big difference was in this movie, people were obviously cybernetically changing off their limbs. And the main character we should mention was missing an arm and a leg, right? Yeah. And so he has...
It cost him an arm and a leg.
Yes. Well, that's true.
Yeah.
So there was a sympathy that he automatically has because, I'm assuming these things aren't super smart, but I mean, it's enough that he can do things.
Right.
So...
Well, and I think there was a scene in the movie of AI with Steven Spielberg, where they showed a bunch of like AI robots, almost like in a trash compactor or something like that. Like they were
being ripped apart at that one.
Yeah,
it was like the humans were loving the way they were being ripped apart.
So then you see in this movie where they're like in a trash compactor and they're like throwing them in and compacting them and getting rid of them. So I did think of AI when I saw that moment.
Yeah.
So, but so.
Fear does a lot of these things.
The thing is, Joshua has infiltrated this group, but he's fallen in love with one of the, top leaders. Maya. It's played by Gemma Chan. And I don't know if I know her from anything.
I don't know her. I looked her up too, and I was like, I kind of think I've seen her, but
because I thought she looked a little bit like Maggie Q.
Well, yeah,
but it wasn't her.
Yeah, right.
The other person I did know was Ken Watanabe.
Yes, he was the other big recognizable person.
He was.
Sturgill Simpson. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize who that was. The singer Sturgill Simpson was Drew.
Yeah.
Was there anybody else in here? I didn't look at
Allison Janney.
Oh, yeah, well, Allison Janney.
She had short hair.
She was a big character, actually.
Yeah, she was actually a big character.
You could say technically she was probably the second character, third character after her.
Yeah.
Because this one disappeared. Gemma disappeared after a while. Mile disappeared after a while.
So
but then you have Alfie,
the little girl, is probably the second main character to Joshua. So, but anyways, he's fallen in love and he's now got Maya pregnant. And that's when it's revealed that he's an infiltrator. So she's like, how could you?
Yes.
How could you? And shoots him. And like in the shoulder, right? And she goes out running to the beach where everybody, all the robots, the replicants, if you will, they're all trying to escape on boats. And then you see the Eye in the Sky come and put down this missile. That just launches a huge shockwave.
It's like mini nukes.
Yeah, and it looks like everybody's dead, right?
Yeah.
And it knocks out Joshua, who then, is back in LA.
Finds out, the military's looking. He's given up basically at this point because he thinks the love of his life is dead.
Right.
Military.
So he's on cleanup duty.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't know. He was enjoying himself at the pool there in LA, but he's cleaning up LA after that nuke bomb went off.
Yeah. And if you notice, like, you could see the huge crater of where the nuke went off, but then they've got cities just outside of this crater with like highways and speed trains going like outside of the crater. So you can tell it's been probably a while. They've done some radiation cleanup and people are living there again. You know what I mean? So So, you know, the beachfront property is probably in Las Vegas now.
There's a lot of people speculating, I'm sure. Like, let me buy that whole entire section of LA.
Yeah.
It will be cleaned up 50 years from now. But hey, I'm going to be a millionaire by that time.
Yeah.
So, but they get him to go back in there and go one last mission to find the creator. And because they convinced him Maya's still alive. They showed him some video.
We need you to hunt down the replicant manufacturer, the creator.
Yeah.
Namrata.
So he agrees, goes along, jumps into the plane, you know, and they go off on this secret mission into somewhere in Asia.
Some base that they go into.
And he's like, there's a plant down here. And they find out there's this massive factory under this very simple village. And they go down there, open up some giant, like, electronic doors. Those things are cool. I like that technology. And what do they find?
A little girl. He finds a little girl.
Watching some cartoons.
This is the enemy. This is actually, he was told that there was a secret weapon that's going to be able to take down the United States and take it down, you know, Nomad.
Well, and that was, you know, that was one thing I thought was kind of simplistic because they kept saying it will take down Nomad. Like, okay, well, can't you build another one? I mean, it was just like a weird thing. Like, they didn't want to go to the point where it's taking down the United States. It's just, we can take down Nomad. But then I was like, but couldn't a missile take down Nomad? I'm kind of surprised this thing's cruising around.
They might have some defenses against that. So,
yeah.
But anyways, and what's interesting is if the United States doesn't want to have AI, I mean, how is that Nomad ship running without AI? Is that what you're saying? So, like, it can't be hacked into? You know what I mean? I don't know. It just seems...
I mean, I would agree. They glossed over a lot of things. I mean, the ship's up there. I mean, originally I thought in the early stage of the movie that ship was up like a giant drone, like it was controlled.
Right.
But then you find out there's people up there.
There's people up there. It's like a...
But then what are they doing up there?
City, you know?
Somebody like spraying the plants and everything and all that. But then I think, to your point, I think it still was 100% created by... controlled by humans in that one military installation with that guy with the really gravy voice.
General Andrews, this is Colonel Howe.
No.
No what, son?
Whatever it is you want.
Yep.
Gotta get me some of those big old robots.
Yep. So, you know, what I thought was cool is after he finds the girl, you know, he says, I've got a friend in a certain city. We got to get to the city because this friend will help me out. And as they're going, he's building a relationship with a girl to where he's on the run now because he wouldn't turn the girl over.
Right. He was supposed to kill her, and he said, no, I'm not doing that.
United States Army.
Right.
So...
and so you're at this particular moment in time, you're like, what's the moral dilemma here, in a sense that he needs her to go find his wife that he thinks is still alive, Maya,
because he saw her face,
and maybe that's why he didn't kill her,
right?
Or is he feeling sympathetic towards her because, you know, it's a cute little girl that likes cartoons?
Yeah.
Would you do that? It's a cute little girl. Would you be like,
that's like babysitting baby Hitler almost? You know what I mean? Like, she's supposed to be the downfall of your country. She's like the objective. Right?
Supposedly.
Right.
In this case. Well, if it was Hitler, you knew he was the downfall.
Right. But I'm like, if you're like, got little baby Hitler, like a little 4-year-old boy.
And you knew what he did later.
Yeah, and you knew what he's going to do.
That's different.
Like what? Yeah. Well, it's like your thought is, well, like maybe I can change him. You know what I mean? Maybe
he just needs a candy bar or something like that.
Yeah,
baby Hitler needs
a positive.
He needs some new Nikes.
I don't know.
He's pissed.
But the thing is,
or he needs some painting class.
Because
in his case,
the alternative is looking at a little boy and just putting a gun to his head and shooting.
Right. I know. I mean, I agree. I mean, little Hitler just needed some painting classes.
I don't know.
He was pissed. He was in.
Ich war eher von der Akademie. Und doch habe ich allein auf mich gestellt.
Bitte gerne. Jetzt beruhig dich doch.
So, you know, he takes her, he goes on this little a very long, drawn-out excursion to go to his buddy.
Yeah.
And then in the meantime, there's a lot more. Like he meets other people, like the Ken Watanabe. Haroon shows up.
Yeah.
You see that giant fight scene where the Americans are coming in with their like huge.
Yeah,
tanks.
you know what it kind of reminded me of is like they're on the bridge and they're waiting and they hear the rumble and like you can see like trees going down here. Like, I mean, you almost think it's like, oh, is this Godzilla? I mean, is this gonna be like King Kong? And then suddenly you've got like an Ark 1 rover coming over that says
Ark
United
1.
States Army,
Ark
right?
1.
Yeah.
And I actually think, didn't they do that in the first Avatar? Wasn't
Yeah,
there a scene
something
like
like
that?
that,
I don't
yeah.
know if they did in the second because I didn't see it. You did.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But it comes over and it's just like shooting up everybody. But what I did think was like super cool tech was, and I wanted like more, I wanted to see more was when he got to the city and he's out and about in the city. Mm-hmm. And you can see kind of like what the buildings look like, some of the tech within the city. He finds his friend. They go to their apartment. You can see the tech in the apartment. I wanted to see more of that world. You know what I mean? I wanted more world building.
And that's why I said take a breath, Will. So there wasn't enough pausing. I mean, my wife tried watching this movie with me at the beginning. She gave it like 20 minutes. And she's like, God, this is so fast. Like, it's constant cutting of scenes.
That is interesting that you say that. You know why? And
like, there's never a pause to like kind of just settle on something for a little bit.
So that is interesting that you say that. I'm going to give a shout out to one of our channel partners, Zach Attacks.
What, Zach?
What's up, Zach? After I watched this movie, we've had like 3 or 4 days since we watched the movie.
I watched it last night.
You watched it last night. I watched it about 3 days ago. But I wanted to see some other reviews. And I watched Zach Attack's reviews. And in his review, he goes, you know, usually I don't advocate for movies to be longer, but this movie needed to be longer because they didn't do enough world building. They didn't, he goes, I just felt they rushed everything, rush to get to the end. And it's like a 2 hour, 18 minute. He goes, I could have used 30 more minutes in this. And I'm like, how many times do you hear people say, I needed more time in this movie? Usually it's like, please take 30 minutes off this movie. Right. You know what I mean? And so you're now saying...
And I agree with her. I mean, my wife pointed this out, but that's why I brought it up. But I mean, I agree with her. I thought it was just such a like, bam, 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 bam. There was like no pausing the entire movie. And it's
I didn't have a problem with that for some reason.
Take a breath.
Yeah.
And just like explore things a little bit more.
Although
you just said you wanted to explore more.
Well,
right?
no, I did. I wanted to see more world building. I wanted to see like what the tech is like in 2065, a little bit more.
I mean, are robots wiping their butts?
Yeah, you know. And it's interesting that that they had some tech that seem...
Bring your glass over. Go ahead.
Seem very would be archaic for the time. Like they're still using something like this, still watching TV like this. You know what I mean?
Well, there was, and they did a clever job of mixing old and new. I mean, I'm going to give him that much because he was kept kind of looking at this almost like little teeny tiny what looked like a weird reflective screen of like his wife and photos and stuff. Yeah. And then immediately when I saw that, I'm like, well, why wouldn't they just have an iPhone? He's like, why did they need to like make it like weird like that? Like, I don't know. I mean, we all have iPhones. We can see that. And he's like, looking at this weird device, you know.
And you know what? Like when the little girl went up to his friend's apartment and they were gonna have ice cream, and she goes, I don't have ice cream.
No, that's not what she said first.
Well, she goes, I have ice cream. They went up to the apartment. Then she looks and she's like, oh, I guess I don't have ice cream. So then she makes a phone call to like DoorDash or something. And I'm like,
very funny.
I was like, that's how I thought they might have had a replicator or something to make ice cream at home or something.
That was funny because when I saw that too, I'm like, what? She called like a delivery service?
Yes, like literally on the phone, like, yes, and please bring the ice. Like, I don't even do that now with DoorDash. You just go beep, 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 and it's like, okay, I got a pizza coming. You know what I mean? I don't get on the phone and go, and yes, please bring a pizza. You know, it just...
That was funny.
I laughed at that. You know?
They needed a way for the police to infiltrate.
Yeah.
And I love the way the guy, like, They did it was, to your point, that was very funny. There was a lot of like little funniness with the girl because it's almost like she was like a newborn baby.
Yeah.
And like, oh, you got ice cream? You got, I want world peace. No, well, you're going to get ice cream instead, you know?
You know, like when somebody dies, they turn off. If they're not turned off, they're on standby.
Off. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Go on. That was a key scene.
That was a key scene.
Should we just jump?
Let's jump. Let's end this thing.
All right.
Go ahead.
So we're at the end here. There's a lot of like grandiose scenes of like they were in Nepal, and you find out that Maya has been put on stasis,
Right.
Because all the robots supposedly, because I guess they're kind of implying she's the creator,
Right.
Which I'm not sure if that's true or not. They're like, we can't kill her,
Right.
So then he has to come in there and turn off the life support system,
Right.
So then they go to what looks like Berlin. Oh no! Then the Americans show up and they
Which
capture
surprised
him.
me that he killed her.
Really?
Were you surprised?
No, because I think
It wasn't really her.
No, that was her.
Was it?
Yeah, that was her. But I think to your point, remember the Americans brought in, they have this device that can download all the brain waves and like form your personality.
See, now that was some cool tech.
I know.
That was cool tech where they downloaded the guy's memories for like the last 30 seconds.
Right.
Uploaded it to the other guy, the other dead guy.
And then he's like, what?
He's like looking at his dead self. What? Is that me over there? Oh my God. Did I just die?
She's like, focus.
Yeah.
Focus.
Tell my wife I love her.
Focus.
Yeah.
Yes, man.
Yeah, that was cool tech.
That was
there.
funny. And actually, I think that was Sturgill Simpson. That was the other soldier, was the dead guy.
Okay.
Looking him up. Great singer. But and so then we went from that. The Americans captured them. And then they went to America, and you find out that Alfie has been, like, of course, heavily studied by the Americans.
Yep.
And she's hooked up, and they're like, well, we can't kill her, so let's send in Joshua to do it.
Yep, that's I remember now.
Yeah, so they give him, like, a giant, like, EMF device to, like, basically, shorter circuits out.
Right.
So he goes in there, and he's like, I can't do this. And they're like, do it. I don't remember what the impulse. Oh, I think they were like, we'll tell you where your wife is or something. I don't know. And so he goes in there and he whispers here. But he realizes that the device is going to mess up the electronics. And so they don't know what it is. And so they're, start some 2-day, let's try to figure out what he said.
All right.
And so then anyways, in the meantime, she's now dead. Alfie, the creature. Or the
creature,
not the creature. I mean the cyborg, the girl, or whatever, and then they're going to go and I forgot, would dispose of the body or something. They were driving somewhere with her.
Yeah.
In
that general.
I think it was a funeral, wasn't it? I think they were having a formal funeral.
Maybe that was it, yeah.
I can't remember that part. But anyways, they're driving somewhere, and then all of a sudden, the general, in the meantime, while he's driving behind them, realizes and finally gets the thing. He says, wait, the guy's like, put me in standby mode.
Right.
And so he's like, what? And then, of course, the Joshua guy who's riding in the ambulance or whatever, the hearse with her, says, come out of it.
Yep.
And then she comes out, and then they're like, and it crashes, and they take off, and they escape, and then it turns into a massive, like, chase scene through the airport, and she's programming things, allow her boarding pass to go through, and then they make it up to Nomad.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
They destroy Nomad.
Yes.
So she destroys Nomad. But that's where he like puts her like in an escape pod kind of thing. And after, it's like blowing up like section by section.
Right.
And he puts her
because he set off a bomb.
Yeah.
Wait, how did he do that? Because this Nomad has all these missiles up there. And
and it's like sectioned off in certain things. There's a greenhouse that comes into play that you were talking about.
And then she has the little USB drive that she uploads into the robot. She discovers, the girl, Alfie discovers an entire room filled with replicants of Maya.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
Yep. And then, but anyways, they destroy Nomad. And then he pushes her like into this escape pod, and then
and
then he starts kissing on Maya, Maya.
Maya! Joshua!
Well,
I don't. Was it the original Maya?
well, so I'll rephrase this. So what happens is, remember, the Americans are like have that weird tentacle robot fighting him, and they break the door, and so she's already in the escape pod, and he can't escape.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Get the hell out of here!" But previously, she had uploaded the USB drive of Maya's brain into this image, the cyborg.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And so then that was supposed to be the very touching scene of the movie, with the two of them running through the cornfield or whatever on Nomad, like, oh, it's you! And then they hug, and boom, 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 boom.
It's gone. Yeah.
They're dead.
Yep.
But Alfie has escaped.
Yep.
Come down to Earth and seen the final destruction of Nomad.
Yeah.
And everyone cheers. Even in America, everyone. Oh, well, did she come down? I don't remember. Where did she land? Was she in America or was she over in Asia? Because her escape pod.
She landed.
But everyone was pissed off.
By the way, wasn't there a robot in Star Trek called Nomad? That it was like a cylinder with a head, and then they had to like beam it out into space to destroy it, because Nomad was like taking over. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I do know I remember that. I was like, Nomad, I would talk like that.
I admit that biological units are imperfect, but a biological unit created you.
I am perfect. I am Nomad.
Everything goes back to Star Trek.
You liked it?
Yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Me too.
I mean, but this was, of course, we both love sci-fi, and it was this hardcore sci-fi movie in a lot of ways. I mean, like I said, I was like, you should watch this, because I thought maybe there'll be a different angle on how they do things, to my wife, and she gave up.
Do you think this will be looked back upon as a classic?
No. I think it's just too fast and it's not classic. Like Blade Runner? No, it's not like Blade Runner.
Like the way we look at Blade Runner and 2001 and Star Wars and Star Trek.
Yeah. No, I don't see
The
it.
Matrix.
I think this was, there wasn't enough pausing, taking a breath, and actually establishing.
More recently, Dune.
And Dune.
And very soon this weekend, Rebel Moon.
Ooh, so, I'm looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to that.
So, but no, I don't, and that's the problem, right? I mean, this movie had, it had elements of brilliance, but then it really just was too fast. You weren't I think you weren't pulled into it, because you had no idea what Washington's background was.
Right. Like, was he military or
Plus
was he
the confusion about, was she, Maya the creator? I mean, in the end, they said, they kind of established, I'm like, well, what's her background? She's like this uber, super smart thing, because that was the thing. Alfie, you realize, is a robot that's based on
the embryo.
The embryo of the two of them.
Of the two of them.
But they didn't explore that enough, you know? I mean, they kind of showed her doing some zhuzhing on some embryo or some very young.
Definition of zhuzhing. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just looked up, this did $40 million in the United States, $63 million internationally, so $104 million worldwide. I bet you that this was under the budget. So we probably won't see another one.
Yeah. And I think, the funny thing about this movie, if it didn't have the scenes, I don't think it would have done that well, because, the scenes were epic. I mean, it went, and I read something like they went around to 7 different countries in Asia.
Oh, wow.
And all of this was done in a very quick way. Like they were in Nepal, but they only had him with them. So there was a lot of very subtle CGI going on with the way they merged. Like that one scene where they go up to the Nepal. In Nepal, the monks, that wasn't actually there. I mean, they
Oh, by the way, you just reminded me of something. The way the robots were wearing the monk's garb.
Yes.
And I'm like, so are the robots now religious? You know what I mean? And
that's what they implied.
I told my dad, I said, see, Christians don't have to go out and be missionaries anymore. You just throw out robots to go,
That's the way it was implied,
right? So
robots have
hilarious.
suddenly, I guess that was the point, was that these things are so intelligent now, they actually found religion.
I guess. Well, you know what? I mean, there was a point that Alfie made me think a little bit when she said,
"What?
Will I go to heaven?" And he goes, no, you're a robot. But then if the AI is so good and they believe that they're people, and I don't know, it's just it's a weird dilemma to kind of think about. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I mean, there is no...
If you believe in God, what would God say about AI? You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean, and this is the same thing that I think they touched on in the original Spielberg AI. It's like, do these creations have souls?
Right.
Some people would say absolutely not, and other people would say, well, just, based on how they are and what their actions are and what they think.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, we liked the movie. We want to know what you thought. Did you like the movie?
Yes.
And if you did like the movie, what did you really like about it? If you didn't like the movie, tell us what issues you had with it. What kind of brought it down for you? Did you give it more than 20 minutes? Tell us down in the comments right after you hit subscribe. And we need those double-digit likes, so make sure to hit like. But definitely want to hear the conversation going about what you thought of this movie. So,
yes.
All right. Well, Dane, why don't you create something for us to get leave on? What do you want to create?
As we bow to our AI overlords.
I say fight the power on that one.
Peace out, everybody.